Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something super cool. We are literally talking about an operating system upgrade for your brain. Seriously. If you've ever felt like you're trying to process complex, modern problems with, outdated, clunky software, you're in the exact right place. We're going to install a highly practical mental model operating system that'll fundamentally change the way you see everything around you. It's time to stop fighting with that old programming and start seeing the world with absolute clarity. So just think about your current setup for a second. Right now, you might be running on Instinct alone. Let's call that your buggy OS 1.0. It's raw, it's reactive, and honestly, it gets easily overwhelmed by data. But to truly thrive, we need to upgrade to super thinking frameworks, basically OS 2.0. Upgrading to these frameworks is absolutely crucial because better thinking directly equals better decisions. And over a lifetime, better decisions inevitably lead to compounding massive outcomes in your business, your relationships, and your investments.
Now, let me ask you, are you making decisions based on instinct alone? Seriously, take a second and critically evaluate your recent choices. Because if you're just going with your gut feeling, well, your decision-making process leaves you incredibly vulnerable to some really costly mistakes. Don't get me wrong, instinct is absolutely fantastic for survival in the wild. It's what kept our ancestors alive, right? But it's genuinely terrible for navigating modern financial markets, strategic business planning, or, honestly, complex interpersonal dynamics.
So, here are the release notes for today's upgrade. First, we'll cover upgrading your operating system, then decoding how reality works, and patching your cognitive bugs. After that, we'll dive into the better decision protocol, execution, and the power move, and finally, your daily decision checklist. Okay, let's dive into this with Section 1, Upgrade your operating system, moving beyond more information. Right. So the fundamental shift we need to make here isn't about hoarding more facts or, just getting more data. This upgrade isn't about pouring in more fuel, it's about upgrading the machinery itself. That ratio you see, 1:2, highlights how few models average people actually rely on to navigate the world. They view literally every problem through just one or two lenses, which severely limits their perspective. It's the classic, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail situation. But top performers, they use dozens of models to see situations clearly. They can analyze a single problem through the lens of psychology, economics, and biology simultaneously, which allows them to act decisively from multiple angles. Moving on to Section 2, Decoding how reality works, understanding the world. Let's start by defining one of the most powerful tools in this whole module, second-order effects. This is the concept that every single action has ripple effects, extending way beyond just the immediate outcome. Actions literally never happen in an isolated vacuum. Think of dropping a heavy stone into a pond. That initial splash is just the beginning. It's the subsequent ripples that change the entire surface. There's this famous historical example called the Cobra effect. Basically, the British government in India wanted to reduce the venomous cobra population, right? So they offered a bounty for every dead cobra. The first order effect was great. People killed cobras for money. But the second order effect? Enterprising people actually started breeding cobras just to kill them and collect the bounty. When the government figured this out and canceled the program, the breeders simply released all their now worthless cobras, making the wild cobra problem way worse than when they started. Crazy, right?
And this brilliantly illustrates our immediate application. Don't just look at immediate outcomes. Always ask, what happens next? High-level operators in business and trading use this specific concept to completely outmaneuver their competition. They aren't just planning for that immediate result, they're strategically planning for the consequence of the consequence. So while their competitors are busy celebrating the first splash, they are already positioning themselves to catch the ripple. Let's quickly round out this module with 3 more core reality models you absolutely need to install. First, incentives. You have to understand that incentives drive all behavior. If you want to understand why someone is doing something that seems totally illogical, just look at what they're being incentivized to do. Second, supply and demand. Scarcity inherently increases value, and this applies to money, products, and even your own time and attention. And third, compounding. Seriously, never underestimate the sheer power of this one. Small, consistent gains stack massively over time, whether we're talking about compound interest in a bank account or compounding your knowledge by reading just 1 page a day.
All right, here comes Section 3, Patching your cognitive bugs, or how we fool ourselves. Let's be honest here. We all have internal bugs. These are cognitive biases that distort reality, and we need to actively patch them. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is one of the most common bugs: loss aversion. This is the psychological principle where losses feel significantly worse than equivalent gains. This cognitive bug completely skews our logic and our emotional state when we're trying to navigate risk. Literally, losing $100 hurts psychologically about twice as much as finding $100 feels good. Our brains are basically hardwired to protect what we have, even if it hurts our chances of getting what we actually want. Just look at this quote. In trading, this is why people hold losers too long and cut winners early. That is a concrete, incredibly painful application of how leaving this bug unpatched costs people real money. They let that visceral fear of realizing a loss completely override their logical pre-planned strategy. It's like they hold on to a sinking ship just hoping it'll float, while jumping off of rocket ship way too early just to secure a tiny, comfortable win. You also need to stay highly vigilant against these two bugs because they will absolutely blind you to the truth. Confirmation bias is our dangerous habit of only seeking out information that already agrees with our pre-existing beliefs. It's exactly why we naturally ignore data that proves us wrong. Then there's availability bias, where we overvalue information just because it's easy to recall from memory. For instance, after seeing news reports of a plane crash, people often become terrified of flying, even though driving to the airport remains statistically far more dangerous. The plane crash is just more available in their mind. Patch these bugs, and I promise you, your objective clarity will skyrocket. Now we are getting to the really good stuff. Section 4, the Better Decision Protocol. How to make better decisions. Now that we've patched our bugs and downloaded the rules of reality, how do we actually pull the trigger? We'll start with inversion. So the crucial point is, instead of constantly asking, how do I win, you start asking, how do I lose? You're flipping the entire problem on its head, using inversion to identify exactly what to avoid. If you want to build a successful project, don't ask how to make it succeed. Ask what would completely destroy this project. Missed deadlines, poor communication, running out of funding. Once you know exactly how to ruin it, simply make sure you aggressively avoid doing those things. Actually, it is a remarkably clarifying exercise whenever you feel stuck. The key takeaway I really want to drill home is this. Avoiding mistakes is often way more important than being right. In elite finance and high-stakes negotiations, dodging disaster is actually your greatest asset. You don't always need to execute some brilliant masterstroke. Sometimes just consistently avoiding stupid mistakes is what actually wins the long game. The amateur tries to win the game, right? But the professional simply focuses on not losing it. Here are 2 additional protocols to load up. First, opportunity cost. You must always remember that choosing one thing inherently means giving up another. Every yes is a no to 1,000 other possibilities. Time spent scrolling is time not spent building. Second, probabilistic thinking. You really have to start thinking in odds, not absolute certainties. The real world rarely deals in 100%. It's all about weighing the probabilities, mitigating the downside, and consistently playing the most favorable odds over time. Let's move to Section 5 and see how this all builds together. Execution and the power move, getting results, and stacking models. Because look, great models are totally useless if they don't produce real-world results. So here are your execution models. Number 1, feedback loops. You must learn and adjust quickly. Put your work out there, measure the response, and tweak it. Number 2, leverage. Use systems, code, people, or capital to multiply your individual output. And number 3, bottlenecks. Every single system has one primary constraint limiting its speed or growth. To find it, look for where work consistently piles up or where delays always happen. If you find and fix that single bottleneck constraint, your entire business system can scale massively. Fix anything else, and you're kind of just creating an illusion of progress. And here it is, the power move. High-level strategists don't just use one framework at a time, they stack them. By combining an understanding of incentives with game theory and second-order thinking, you can predict human behavior and systemic outcomes with terrifying accuracy. It's like you aren't just reacting to the board anymore. You are seeing the matrix. You know what people want, you know how they'll compete to get it, and you know what the ripple effects of their actions will be. Finally, we arrive at Section 6, your daily decision checklist. This is the simple framework you can use immediately. I strongly encourage you to run this crucial 5-question checklist every single time you face a tough choice. Number 1, what are the incentives at play? Like, who actually benefits from this? Number 2, what could go wrong? Use your inversion here to spot the traps. Number 3, what are the second-order effects? Don't just look at tomorrow, look at next year. Number 4, what am I not seeing? Run a quick bias check. Are you just seeking confirmation? And number 5, what is the opportunity cost? What are you giving up to do this? Memorize this flow and honestly run it relentlessly. At the end of the day, super thinking gives you a decision-making operating system. Remember, thinking isn't a fixed trait. It's a dynamic skill that you can train and upgrade just like a muscle. And you now have the fundamental tools to process the world completely differently than the average person. You've transitioned from an overwhelmed biological brain relying on raw emotion to a systematic, high-performance thinking machine.
Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative question. What is the opportunity cost of making your next decision on instinct alone? Really think about that. You now know the immense risks of the old way and the incredible power of your new OS. Don't leave your success to a buggy system. Abandon those old instincts, apply your new frameworks today, and start executing with total clarity.